Hey there, we're going to take a little bit of a break from the PowerPoints and just have kind of a discussion, free discussion on just what is worship and how it affects our feelings, and is specifically a little bit about how the unique circumstances of COVID have played an interesting, have brought an interesting dynamic into worship and our feelings at this moment. So I have a friend who had to write a paper on in which he defined worship, and his definition of worship was letting God know that we know a little bit about who He is. So it's basically some sort of statement about who God is in a way that expresses the truth about God, letting Him know that we understand at least a part of who He is and what He's done for us. Worship is telling the truth about God to God in a way that praises or honors Him. There's this idea that in ancient English, the word worship has its root in worth, about somehow expressing God's worth in words, songs, art, actions, back to God, letting Him know that we understand at least a little bit about who He is and what He is worth to us. Now, how does this affect feelings? Well, if I sit there and concentrate on the idea that God is good, and not only concentrate on it and think about it, but I express the goodness of God out loud or through some other means back to God in a way that it impacts me, in a way that it changes my feelings. It can, in the way that it impacts how I'm thinking, it can change my feelings. For example, if I know that God is good and that He cares and loves for me and that He has power, enough power to take care of me, that can have an effect of me being at peace in this world. Or maybe if this world is not at peace, that might give me the fact that God is on my side, might give me courage to enter into a fearful situation. It might give me joy when I know that things will work out. Maybe not necessarily for my momentary happiness, but for my eternal well-being. Things are going to be okay. Concentrating on these statements and actually expressing these statements back to God and actually mentally engaging in the truth of these statements can have a drastic effect on how I feel. Peace, joy, hope, courage, all these sorts of emotional feelings can be rooted in our worship experience. Now, the interesting thing about COVID is now that we're quarantining, we don't have those weekly moments where we gather in large numbers as Christians to concentrate through worship, through singing, on these ideas. And even if you are doing that virtually online, it might not be the same experience. Some of us get a good encouragement to concentrate on worship because there is a crowd around us. Some of us have trouble engaging in that same sort of encounter when we are alone watching through a screen. But how can you worship at this time? How can you take the time to concentrate on the truth of God and allow those truths to impact how you feel about the current situation? God's got this. God is still good. God is still awesome. And we need to think about these things. And as we think about these things, our feelings about the certain situations may change. Also, when we look at the world, there's a lot of things to be concerned about. There's a lot of things to worry about. There's a lot of things that could cause fear in those around us. Actually engaging in these issues with the gospel, with the truth about God, at the places people are afraid, at the places people are concerned, at the place that people are anxious, is a great way to show them who God is, to show them that your worship of God controls your fears and anxieties. God is good, even in the midst of COVID. If we can say that, it will change how we feel in these situations. If we can concentrate on that, it will change how we feel in these situations. If we can know that more than just an intellectual process, but just dwell in that truth, it can produce worship in us. And that worship of God, even in the midst of chaos, can engage the world around us and help them see that their anxiety is not the only possibility of what's going on around us as well.